Welcome back, Rare Coin Insider. When you hold a simple 1-cent coin in your hand, it might look like the smallest piece of currency imaginable, almost meaningless in everyday life. But when it comes to certain rare coins, like the USA 1-cent coin from 2002, the story becomes far more complex, layered, and deeply fascinating than most people could ever imagine. This is not just a piece of copper-coated zinc. It is a snapshot of American minting history, a reflection of design evolution, and for some collectors, a mysterious treasure that has sparked rumors, debates, and viral claims about extraordinary values reaching into the hundreds of millions of dollars. To understand the significance of the 2002 1-cent coin, you first have to slow down and look at what it actually is. The United States 1-cent coin, commonly known as the penny, has been in circulation for more than 2 centuries, evolving through different compositions, designs, and minting technologies. By 2002, the modern penny was already in its long-running Lincoln set design phase, featuring the profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that was first introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of his birth. That portrait was created by Victor David Brenner, and even after decades of production, it remains one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. On the obverse side, the 2002 penny shows Lincoln facing right, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 2002 clearly stamped beside him. Depending on the mint mark, which can appear just below the date, the coin may have been produced in Philadelphia with no mint mark, or in Denver marked with a small d. That tiny letter can make a surprising difference in collector interest, even though millions upon millions of these coins were struck for everyday circulation. Now turning the coin over, the reverse design in 2002 is part of what is known as the Union Shield, had not yet arrived. Instead, the reverse still carried the familiar Lincoln Memorial design, which had been in use since 1959. This design shows the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C., and if you look closely under magnification, you can actually see a tiny seated statue of Abraham Lincoln inside the structure. That hidden detail is one of the reasons coin enthusiasts often describe the Lincoln Memorial Cent series as more artistic than people realize at first glance. Around the top edge of the reverse are the words, "United States of America," while the bottom reads, "E pluribus unum," and directly beneath that is the denomination, 1 cent. From a technical standpoint, the 2002 penny is composed primarily of zinc, with a thin copper plating on the outside. This composition was introduced in 1982, when the United States Mint shifted away from nearly pure copper pennies due to rising metal costs. The coin has a mass of approximately 2.5 grams, making it extremely lightweight, and its diameter is 19.05 millimeters, with a smooth, plain edge. If you were to compare it with older copper pennies from the early 1900s, you would notice a difference not just in weight but also in sound when dropped, with modern zinc-based cents producing a slightly higher-pitched metallic tone. But what makes the 2002 penny particularly interesting in collector discussions is not its standard form, because in most cases it is extremely common. Instead, it is the rumors, rare mint errors, and exaggerated market claims that surround certain examples of it. In online discussions and viral videos, some versions of this coin have been linked with extraordinary valuations, sometimes reaching claims of millions, or even the astonishing figure of $183 million. These numbers, however, are not representative of standard numismatic pricing, and they usually arise from misunderstanding, misinformation, or fictionalized content designed to attract attention. Still, within the world of coin collecting, known as numismatics, even a common coin like the 2002 penny can become valuable under the right conditions. Error coins, for example, are highly sought after. These can include off-center strikes, double die errors, missing mint marks, or coins struck on incorrect planchets. If a 2002 penny were to show a dramatic minting error, it could attract serious collector interest, sometimes selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and condition. The grading of a coin, which evaluates its physical condition on a scale from poor to mint state, plays a major role in determining its real market value. Most 2002 pennies in circulation today, however, are worth exactly 1 cent in practical terms. They are still widely found in change jars, cash registers, and old collections. But what makes collectors keep an eye on them is not their common nature, but the possibility, however small, that a rare variation might exist somewhere in circulation unnoticed. This idea fuels excitement in the collecting community, where even a single discovery can lead to intense interest and competitive bidding. Another important aspect of the 2002 penny is its place in the timeline of modern American coin production. By the early 2000s, the United States Mint was producing billions of coins annually, using advanced high-speed machinery capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute. This industrial efficiency meant that most coins from this era, including the 2002 cent, were produced in massive quantities, reducing their rarity but increasing their importance in understanding modern minting processes. Collectors also pay attention to the subtle differences between coins minted in Philadelphia and Denver. While they look almost identical to the casual eye, trained numismatists often examine strike quality, surface details, and minting variations to identify differences in production style. These differences, though small, can sometimes influence collector preference and niche value within specialized markets. As we go deeper into the story of this coin, it becomes clear that the 2002 1-cent piece is not just about its physical characteristics or rumored values, but about the culture of collecting itself, where imagination, rarity, and history intersect. People are drawn to the idea that something so small and ordinary could secretly hold extraordinary worth, and that emotional connection is often what drives the fascination more than the actual monetary value. And this is where the story begins to unfold further, because once we explore the minting variations, the rare error possibilities, and the global collector demand surrounding Lincoln cents, the picture becomes much more detailed and intriguing than a simple 1-cent coin would suggest at first glance. As we continue deeper into the story of the 2002 USA 1-cent coin, it becomes important to move beyond its basic appearance and step into the world where real numismatic value is actually determined. Because unlike what viral claims suggest, coins do not suddenly become worth millions or hundreds of millions just because of their date alone. Instead, their value is shaped by a combination of rarity, condition, minting errors, demand from collectors, and historical significance. And when you apply those real-world rules to the 2002 penny, you begin to see a much more realistic and still fascinating picture emerge. The first major factor that collectors examine is the mint mark and production origin, because the 2002 cent was struck at two primary facilities, Philadelphia and Denver, and each mint produced massive quantities, meaning standard circulation coins are extremely common, but even within high mintage years, like 2002, there are subtle differences in strike quality that experienced collectors notice immediately. For example, Denver minted coins sometimes show slightly sharper detail in certain batches, while Philadelphia coins may appear softer depending on die wear, and these small differences, while not dramatic to the general public, can matter in high-grade collecting circles where perfection is everything. Now, when we talk about weight and physical structure again in a more technical sense, the 2002 penny maintains the post-1982 standard composition of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, which is why its weight remains fixed at around 2.5 grams, and this composition was chosen because copper had become too expensive for mass penny production. But this also introduced a long-term issue known among collectors and mint experts, which is the tendency for zinc-based pennies to corrode or develop surface damage more easily than older copper cents, especially if exposed to moisture or environmental wear, and this condition plays a direct role in grading value. Coin grading is one of the most important concepts in numismatics, and for a 2002 penny, grading can determine whether it is essentially worth face value or whether it enters the collectible tier, because coins are evaluated on a scale ranging from heavily circulated, where scratches, wear, and discoloration are visible, all the way up to mint state conditions known as MS65, MS67, or even higher, where the coin appears almost untouched by human hands, and in those highest grades even a modern coin like a 2002 cent can gain some premium value simply because so few examples survive in perfect condition due to the sheer volume of circulation. However, the real excitement among collectors does not come from normal examples, but from mint errors, and this is where the 2002 penny starts to become truly interesting, because error coins are accidental creations that occur during the minting process, and they can include things like double die obverse errors where the design appears slightly doubled due to misalignment during striking, off-center strikes where the design is not properly centered on the planchet, clipped planchets where part of the coin edge is missing due to a blanking error, or even die cracks and die breaks where the minting equipment itself was damaged during production, and each of these errors can create unique collectible pieces that are far more valuable than standard coins. In the case of 2002 pennies, while none of these errors are extremely rare in absolute terms, certain combinations of high-grade condition plus visible and dramatic error features can attract strong collector interest, sometimes pushing values into the tens or hundreds of dollars, and in exceptional auction cases where rarity meets demand, prices can go higher, but still within realistic numismatic boundaries, not fantasy figures. Now addressing the widely circulated claim that a 2002 1-cent coin could be worth $183 million, it is important to understand how such numbers appear in the digital world, because they are not supported by any verified auction records, grading services, or numismatic authorities, and instead usually originate from misinformation, clickbait content, or misunderstanding of speculative rarity theories. And in real coin markets, even the most famous U.S. coins, such as historic gold, rarities, or major minting mistakes from the 19th century, have never approached anything close to that level of valuation, meaning that such claims about a modern penny fall firmly into the category of internet myth rather than established fact. That being said, the fascination with such claims actually reveals something important about human psychology and collecting culture, because people are naturally drawn to the idea that ordinary objects might hide extraordinary value, and coins are one of the most powerful examples of this because they circulate through millions of hands, travel across decades, and quietly accumulate stories without anyone noticing. And this creates the perfect environment for myths and legends to form around them. Another important aspect to consider is the role of professional grading companies such as PCGS and NGC, which authenticate and grade coins based on strict criteria, and without certification from such organizations, claims about extraordinary value remain unverified, because in the serious coin market, documentation and authentication are everything, and no credible grading record exists for a 2002 penny approaching anything close to the rumored extreme valuations. Still, collectors continue to search through rolls of pennies, coin jars, and bank boxes, hoping to find rare errors or exceptionally preserved examples, and this ongoing search keeps even modern coins like the 2002 cent relevant in the collecting community, because every coin has a possibility, however small, of being something unusual, and that possibility is what keeps the hobby alive. As we move further into this exploration, the next part will go deeper into specific documented error types associated with early 2000s Lincoln cents, how collectors identify them under magnification, and why even minor variations can sometimes create surprising demand in niche numismatic markets. When you move deeper into the world of coin collecting, and start focusing specifically on early 2000s Lincoln cents, like the 2002 penny, the discussion naturally shifts from general appearance and composition into the much more detailed and technical area of error detection, because this is where real collectors spend most of their time examining coins under magnification, comparing microscopic differences, and trying to determine whether a coin is ordinary or something that carries a premium in the market. One of the most commonly searched types of errors in coins from this era is the double die variety, and while the 2002 penny is not widely known for dramatic double die errors, like some earlier Lincoln cents, collectors still carefully inspect it because even minor doubling in letters, numbers, or design elements can increase interest, especially when the doubling is visible in key areas like "In God We Trust" or the date itself. And what makes this process so detailed is that true double die errors are created during the hubbing process at the mint, meaning the die itself receives a misaligned impression, and every coin struck from that die carries the same defect, making it a repeatable and therefore collectible variety. Another important category is strike quality, and this is where you begin to see differences between coins that look almost identical at first glance, because strike strength refers to how well the design was transferred from the die onto the planchet, and in some 2002 pennies you may find weak strikes where Lincoln's facial features appear slightly soft or the lettering is not fully sharp. And while this does not automatically make a coin valuable, it becomes relevant when combined with high preservation state, because collectors often look for what is known as full detail strikes in mint state coins. Off-center strikes are another fascinating mint error that can occasionally appear in pennies from this time period, and these occur when the coin blank is not properly aligned during the striking process, resulting in a design that is shifted away from the center, sometimes leaving a blank crescent-shaped area on one side, and the more dramatic the off-center percentage, while still keeping the date visible, the more collectible the coin becomes, because extreme examples are visually striking and represent a clear minting mistake rather than normal variation. Clipped planchet errors also attract attention, and these happen when the metal blank is improperly cut from the sheet, resulting in a coin that appears to have a missing segment along its edge, and collectors often examine the edge of pennies carefully because true clipped planchets follow a specific curve pattern known as a circular clip, which distinguishes them from damage caused after minting. And this distinction is extremely important because post-mint damage has no collectible value, while genuine mint errors can carry a premium. Now when we talk about market value, especially in relation to the exaggerated claims often seen online, it is important to understand how real pricing works in numismatics, because the market is driven by verified auction results, dealer networks, and certified grading populations, not by viral claims or unverified listings. And for a coin, like the 2002 penny, the majority of examples trade at face value, while error coins or high-grade certified specimens may reach small premiums depending on rarity and condition, but nothing close to the extreme figures sometimes mentioned in social media narratives. The idea that a 2002 penny could reach a value like $183 million belongs firmly in the category of internet myth, because such a valuation would imply not just extreme rarity, but also historical uniqueness on a level that does not exist within modern mass-produced coinage, and even the most famous and valuable coins in United States history, including early colonial issues, rare gold pieces, and legendary minting mistakes from the 19th century, have never approached such a figure, which makes it clear that those claims are not based on verified numismatic records. However, what keeps this coin interesting despite its common nature is the fact that collectors are constantly searching for anomalies, and this search is supported by modern tools such as digital microscopes, online auction archives, and grading databases, which allow enthusiasts to compare their finds with certified examples. And this has created a more educated collecting community, where even small variations are studied seriously rather than ignored. Counterfeit awareness also becomes relevant here, because as interest in rare pennies grows online, so does the appearance of misleading listings and altered coins, where damage is sometimes misrepresented as mint errors, or common coins are artificially polished or modified to appear rare, and experienced collectors rely heavily on certification services and professional grading opinions to avoid these traps, reinforcing the importance of authenticity in the hobby. Another layer of interest comes from population reports, which are records maintained by grading companies that show how many coins of a specific type and grade have been certified. And for modern coins, like the 2002 penny, high-grade populations exist but are still limited when you move into the very top mint state levels, meaning that even though the coin is common overall, perfect condition examples are comparatively fewer, and this scarcity within perfection is what sometimes creates modest collector demand. As we continue to explore further, the story of the 2002 penny starts to reflect something larger than just one coin, because it becomes a window into how modern currency is produced in enormous quantities yet still holds small pockets of rarity and interest for those willing to examine it closely. And in the next part, the focus will shift toward how collectors actually value these coins in real markets, how auction pricing behaves, and why condition and certification matter more than almost anything else when determining real worth. When you finally bring everything together about the 2002 USA 1-cent coin, the real picture becomes much clearer than the exaggerated stories you often see online, because in the actual world of numismatics, value is never built on fantasy numbers. It is built on verifiable scarcity, documented errors, certified condition, and real buyer demand. And once you apply these principles, the 2002 penny settles into its true identity as a modern circulation coin that is common in everyday life but still holds a quiet place in collector interest when the right conditions appear. In real coin markets, the majority of 2002 pennies trade exactly at face value because billions were minted and released into circulation, making them extremely easy to find even today in coin rolls, bank change, and old jars. And this overwhelming supply is the first and most important reason why any extreme valuation claim falls apart when tested against reality. Because scarcity is the foundation of value, and without scarcity, even the most talked about coin remains ordinary in financial terms. However, within this massive production, a small percentage of coins do stand out, and that is where the real collecting excitement begins. Because when a 2002 penny is found in near-perfect mint state condition, professionally graded and certified, it can achieve modest collectible value above face, not because it is rare in an absolute sense, but because it represents preservation. And preserved modern coins are harder to find than people assume, since most coins quickly enter circulation and accumulate marks, scratches, and environmental damage over time. Then, there are error coins, which remain the most genuinely valuable category for modern pennies. And when a 2002 cent shows a verified minting error such as a strong off-center strike, a clear-clipped planchet, a die crack, or a rare double die variation, its value can increase significantly depending on how dramatic and visually obvious the error is. And in collector auctions, such coins may sell for tens, sometimes hundreds of dollars, with exceptional and visually striking examples, occasionally going higher, but always within realistic numismatic boundaries, supported by actual sales records. This is where professional grading services play a crucial role, because companies that authenticate coins evaluate them under strict standards and assign them a grade that the entire market recognizes, and without this certification, even a coin that looks unusual may not be trusted by buyers, which is why serious collectors always rely on verified grading to separate genuine mint errors from post-mint damage or misleading modifications. And now, when we address the viral claim that a 2002 1-cent coin could be worth $183 million, the final truth is very clear. There is no verified auction, no grading record, and no historical precedent in numismatics that supports such a value for this coin or any modern penny, and while the internet often amplifies extreme figures to capture attention, real coin valuation is grounded in decades of documented market behavior, and even the most legendary U.S. rarities have never approached anything close to that number. But despite this, the 2002 penny still holds a kind of quiet importance in the collecting world, because it represents a modern coin era where production is massive, but discovery is still possible, and that sense of discovery is what keeps collectors engaged, because every coin examined carries a small chance of revealing something unusual, something imperfect, something that escaped the minting process in a unique way. At the end of the day, the true value of the 2002 USA 1-cent coin is not found in unrealistic price tags, but in understanding its place in history, its design rooted in Abraham Lincoln's legacy, its technical composition as part of modern minting evolution, and its role as one of the most widely circulated pieces of currency in American life. And for collectors, its real worth lies in the thrill of the search, the study of its variations, and the appreciation of how even the most common objects can carry layers of detail that most people never notice. So when you hold a 2002 penny, you are not holding a multi-million-dollar treasure, but you are holding a piece of modern minting history that connects millions of transactions, countless hands, and a long tradition of American coinage, and that alone is what gives it its true significance in the world of coins.